Kyle was halfway through his shift when he found her. The corridors in the medical wing were supposed to be empty this time of night. Staff only. No patients wandering around. No visitors. Just the quiet hum of life support systems and the soft glow of emergency lighting. But there she was, collapsed against the wall, like someone had just dropped her there and walked away. Her breathing was shallow, labored, the kind of breathing that said someone was fighting just to stay conscious. Kyle's medical training kicked in before his brain fully processed what he was seeing. He was moving, crossing the distance, already pulling his scanner from his belt. Then he got close enough to see her properly, and his steps faltered. Valoran. He had seen pictures. Everyone had. The Valoran Empire was one of the major powers in this sector of space. Their ships, their technology, their princess and princes plastered across every news feed whenever they did anything remotely interesting. But seeing one in person was different. The pictures did not do them justice. Her skin was pale silver, not painted, not makeup, actually silver. It caught the light in strange ways, shimmering, almost glowing. Her bone structure was delicate, fine, like someone had carved her from crystal. And her hair, it was not one color. It shifted, purple to blue to silver and back again, moving on its own, alive, beautiful. That was the word. Valorans were beautiful in a way that made humans look rough and unfinished. This one was dying. Kyle dropped to his knees beside her. "Hey, can you hear me?" Her eyes opened, slowly, like it took effort. They were violet, deep purple, the kind of color that should not exist in nature, but did anyway. Right now they were clouded with pain and something else. Resignation. Acceptance. "I'm dying," she whispered. Her voice was soft, musical. Even weak it sounded like singing. A translator device on her collar crackled and converted her words to English. The deterioration. It's accelerating. I can feel it. Kyle pulled his medical scanner and ran it over her. The device beeped, reading scrolling across a small screen. What he saw made his stomach drop. Her cellular structure was collapsing, breaking down from the inside out. Cells dying faster than her body could replace them. Genetic deterioration. Advanced stage. Maybe days left. Maybe hours. "I'm Princess Lyra," she said. She was looking at the ceiling, not at him, like she could not bear to see his reaction. Fifth in line for the Valoran throne. Not that it matters now. Not that anything matters. "I'm Kyle," he said, already moving, sliding his arms under her. "I'm getting you to emergency care right now." "No point." She closed her eyes. "I know what's wrong with me. I've known for years. Without a bondmate, I have days left, maybe less, and no one will have me." Kyle lifted her. She weighed almost nothing, light as a child despite being adult-sized. Valoran bone structure, hollow, designed for a lighter gravity than Earth's. "What do you mean no one will have you?" Kyle was moving fast, heading for the emergency ward. His badge would open the doors. "Get her into treatment." "Damaged goods," Lyra said. Her head rested against his shoulder. She had stopped fighting, just letting him carry her. "A defective princess. My genetic deterioration makes me worthless. A bad political match. A liability." Kyle had heard about bonding. Everyone who worked with Valorans knew the basics. Their species required a bonding ceremony, a kind of biological marriage that stabilized their genetics. It was part biology, part ritual, part something humans did not fully understand. But without it, Valorans deteriorated young. Their genetics were unstable. The bond with another person stabilized them, let them live full lives. "What about your suitors?" Kyle asked. The emergency ward doors opened. Staff looked up, saw what he was carrying, and scrambled. "Royal matches? You're a princess. There must be..." Lyra laughed. It was not a happy sound. It sounded like breaking glass, like something beautiful shattering. 37 proposals, sent to every eligible Valoran noble in the Empire. All rejected me. Every single one. Kyle set her on a medical bed. Staff swarmed, connecting monitors, starting scans. Dr. Helen Morrison pushed through the crowd. She was the head of emergency medicine. Kyle's boss, a woman who had seen everything and was not easily surprised. She looked surprised now. Princess Lyra, Helen said. She had good diplomatic training, kept her voice neutral. This is unexpected. What are your symptoms? Genetic deterioration, Lyra said. She sounded tired. So tired. Terminal stage. I came to the station seeking experimental treatment, but there isn't any. Not really. I was just delaying the inevitable. Helen ran her own scans. Read the results. Her face went carefully blank. The look doctors got when the news was very bad, and they were trying to figure out how to say it. She pulled Kyle aside, spoke quietly. Days, maybe 3 at most. The deterioration is too advanced. Her cellular structure is breaking down faster than we can compensate. Without a bond mate, there's nothing we can do. Can humans bond with Valorans? Kyle asked. Helen stared at him. What? Can we? Is it biologically possible? Kyle, no. Helen grabbed his arm. Squeeze hard. I know that look. I know what you're thinking. The answer is absolutely not. But is it possible? Theoretically? Maybe. But the process is incompatible. Humans and Valorans have completely different DNA structures, different cellular chemistry, different everything. Attempting a bond would kill you both. Has anyone tried? Helen's expression went dark. Yes, twice. Both times the human died during the ceremony. Massive biological rejection. Their bodies could not handle the integration. Both Valorans died shortly after. The shock of a failed bond accelerated their deterioration. So it's been tried, but not successfully. Kyle. Helen's voice went hard. Don't even think about it. I'm serious. You will die. She will die. There is no scenario where this works. But Kyle was already thinking about it, already working through possibilities. Humans were adaptable, more adaptable than any other species they had encountered. Their genetics were messy, complicated, but flexible. Could that flexibility make a difference? He did not know, but Lyra was dying anyway. A 0% chance was still 0, but trying gave her something more than 0. He found her awake that night, after the emergency treatment had stabilized her, after the staff had done everything they could, which was not much. She was staring at the ceiling, eyes open, just waiting to die. I have a proposal, Kyle said from the doorway. Lyra turned her head, looked at him. Another human joke? You people make jokes about everything. Bond with me. Silence. Complete silence. The machines beeped. The air recyclers hummed. But Lyra said nothing, just stared at him like he had spoken in a language her translator could not process. Then she sat up, slowly, carefully. You're serious? Yes. You'll die. Her voice was flat. Certain. The biology is incompatible. Humans cannot survive Valoran bonding. It will kill you. Kill both of us. Maybe, Kyle said. He walked into the room, sat in the chair beside her bed. Or maybe humans are adaptable enough to make it work. Our genetics are messy but flexible. Maybe that flexibility is enough. Either way, you die if we don't try. I'd rather try than watch you wait for the end. Why? The word came out broken, confused. You don't know me. I'm just another patient. Just another dying alien in your emergency ward. Why would you risk your life for me? Kyle thought about it, about how to explain something. He did not fully understand himself. You're a person asking for help, he said finally. And I'm a medic. Helping people is what I do. Doesn't matter if they're human or Valoran or anything else. You need help. I can maybe provide it. That's enough. Lyra stared at him. This human, this nobody, this man with messy genetics and no noble blood who was offering to die for a stranger, a defective princess that 37 nobles had rejected, that her own people had given up on. Tears ran down her silver cheeks. She had not cried in years, had thought she was past crying, but now the tears came and would not stop. Yes, she whispered. Her voice was thick with emotion, with hope she was afraid to feel. Yes, I'll bond with you, if you're truly willing, if you understand the risk. Then yes. Kyle smiled. Good. Then let's get started. He did not know if this would work. Did not know if they would both be dead in 3 days. But at least they would try. At least Lyra would not die alone thinking she was worthless. Sometimes trying was enough. Sometimes it was everything. The Valoran court arrived within 6 hours of Kyle's agreement. He had not expected them to come so fast. Had not expected them to come at all, really. But apparently word traveled quickly when a princess decided to do something unprecedented. The high priestess was named Mara. She was old, ancient by Valoran standards. Her silver skin had darkened to almost gray. Her hair no longer shifted colors, but stayed a constant deep purple. She wore robes that probably cost more than Kyle made in a year. And she looked at him the way you might look at a bug you found in your food. A human, she said. Her voice dripped with disgust. The translator did not even try to soften it. You would bond with a primitive? Princess Lyra, this is madness. Utter madness. This is survival, Lyra said. She was sitting up in her medical bed. Stronger already just from having hope, from having a plan. Kyle has agreed to the bonding ceremony. We will proceed. It will kill you both, Mara said flatly. Human biology is incompatible with Valoran bonding. This has been tested. It has failed, catastrophically. Then I died trying, Lyra replied. Her voice was steady, strong. Instead of lying here waiting, I choose to try. Mara looked at Kyle, really looked at him. You understand what you are agreeing to? The bonding process will rewrite your cellular structure, integrate Valoran genetics with your human DNA. Your body will reject this. You will die in agony while your cells tear themselves apart. Maybe, Kyle said. He had heard all of this from Dr. Morrison already, had read the reports from the 2 previous attempts, had seen the autopsy results. He knew exactly what he was risking. Or maybe it works. Won't know unless we try. Foolishness, Mara said, but she began preparations anyway. Tradition demanded it. A Valoran princess had requested bonding. A candidate had agreed. The ceremony must proceed regardless of outcome. The preparation took 3 days. 3 days of tests and scans and genetic mapping. 3 days of Valoran court officials arriving on the station. Witnesses to what everyone assumed would be a double funeral. Kyle underwent genetic screening. Compatibility testing. Every scan said the same thing. Incompatible. Dangerous. Fatal probability above 90%. He did it anyway. Dr. Morrison pulled him aside on the 2nd day. Kyle, you can still back out. No one would blame you. This is insane. She'll die if I back out, Kyle said. She'll probably die anyway. And you'll die with her. Helen's voice was tight. Angry. Scared. You're one of my best medics. I don't want to lose you to some impossible romantic gesture. It's not romantic, Kyle said, though he was not entirely sure that was true anymore. He had spent hours talking with Lyra over the past 2 days, learning about her life, her fears, her dreams that she thought she would never see. It's just the right thing to do. The right thing gets you killed plenty of times, Helen said. Then I died doing something worthwhile. The bonding chamber was set up in the station ceremonial hall. The room was ancient by human standards, built when the station was first constructed 200 years ago. Neutral ground, a place where different species could gather for important events. The Valorans had transformed it, draped it in fabrics that shimmered like Lyra's hair, set up lights that cast everything in soft violet. In the center was a circle, carved into the floor, old symbols, Valoran writing that the translators could not touch, sacred words. Kyle stood in that circle, wearing simple white clothes. Traditional bonding attire Mara had provided. They felt strange. Too light, too smooth, but he wore them anyway. Lyra entered from the opposite side. She wore white as well, a dress that flowed like water. Her hair was unbound, cascading down her back in waves of shifting color. She looked terrified, hopeful, beautiful. They stood facing each other in the circle, surrounded by witnesses, Valoran nobles who had come to watch the spectacle. The human princess who bonded with a primitive. Most of them expected this to be a tragedy. Some looked eager for it. Mara stood at the edge of the circle. She began the ceremony, speaking in Old Valoran, words that predated translators. The language was musical, rhythmic. It sounded like singing and prayer combined. Kyle did not understand the words, but he felt their weight, their importance. This was sacred. This mattered. The actual bonding came after an hour of ritual. Mara placed her hands on both of their heads, spoke words that made the air feel thick, heavy, charged. Then it began. Kyle felt fire in his veins. Like every cell in his body had suddenly ignited. Pain exploded through him, worse than anything he had ever experienced. His DNA was being rewritten, torn apart and rebuilt cell by cell, atom by atom. He could feel Lyra, not just physically near. Feel her. Her consciousness touched his, merged with his. Her memories flooded into him, a lifetime of experiences crashing into his mind like a wave. He saw her childhood, growing up in a palace, surrounded by luxury but isolated, always sick, always weak, the deterioration starting young, doctors shaking their heads, treatments that did not work. He saw the proposals, 37 of them, each rejection cutting deeper than the last, each one confirming what she had always suspected, that she was worthless, defective, unwanted. He felt her dying, felt the deterioration eating her from inside, her cells breaking down, her body giving up, the fear, the loneliness, the acceptance that she would die young and unmourned. The pain was overwhelming. Kyle's body was rejecting the bond, exactly like the reports said it would. His immune system was fighting, trying to purge the foreign genetics. His cells were tearing themselves apart. He was dying, but Kyle was stubborn. That was maybe his defining characteristic. Stubborn, refusing to quit even when quitting made sense. He pushed back against the rejection, forced his body to adapt, forced his genetics to bend instead of break. Human adaptability. That was what made humans special, what made them survivors. They could live in almost any environment, eat almost any food, survive almost any injury, because human genetics were messy and complicated and flexible. Kyle used that flexibility now, pushed it, demanded his body adapt to this impossible task. The bond formed, not clean, not smooth. It was messy and chaotic and wrong by every medical standard, but it formed. Kyle collapsed. His legs gave out. He went down hard. Lyra caught him, or tried to. They both went down together, tangled in white fabric and pain and something new. Connection, complete and total connection. Kyle could feel her heartbeat, feel her breathing, feel her emotions washing over him like waves. Fear, relief, gratitude, love. So much love for this stupid human who tried when everyone else gave up. What have we done? Lyra whispered. She was crying, holding him. I can feel you dying. The bond is breaking you. Your body is rejecting it. I can feel it. Not dying, Kyle said. His voice was rough, raw, speaking hurt. Everything hurt. Adapting. Humans are good at that. Give it time. The medical teams swarmed them, pulled them apart, ran scans. The readings made no sense. Kyle's cellular structure was changing, rewriting itself to accommodate the bond. It should have killed him, should have triggered total systemic failure. Instead, he was evolving. His genetics were adapting in real time, creating new structures, new pathways, making the incompatible compatible through sheer stubborn refusal to die. And Lyra, her deterioration had stopped, completely stopped. The cellular breakdown that had been accelerating for years just halted, then reversed. Her cells started regenerating, healing, stabilizing faster than any bond of Valoran in recorded history. Dr. Morrison stared at the scans. This is impossible. His genetics are rewriting themselves, creating new enzyme pathways, new cellular structures. None of this should work. But it is working, Mara said. The High Priestess sounded shocked. Odd. The bond is holding, stabilizing. The human's adaptability is compensating for the incompatibility. The human has a name, Lyra said sharply, still holding Kyle's hand, feeling his heartbeat through their bond. His name is Kyle, and he saved my life. Kyle woke up fully 12 hours later. The pain had faded to a dull ache, manageable. He could feel Lyra before he saw her, feel her nearby, her presence in his mind like a second heartbeat. She was sitting beside his bed, watching him, tears on her silver cheeks. "I almost killed you," she said. "Almost doesn't count," Kyle said. He tried to sit up. His body protested. Still healing, still adapting, but functional. "We made it. We're bonded." "Yes." Lyra touched his face. Gentle, careful. "We're bonded. I can feel you. All the time. Your thoughts. Your emotions. Your pain. Everything." "Same here," Kyle said. "It's weird, but not bad." "The court is furious," Lyra said. "Half of them want to declare the bond invalid. Say it doesn't count because you're human. The other half are terrified because it worked when it shouldn't have." "Let them be terrified," Kyle said. "We survived. Now we figure out the rest." Lyra smiled, small but genuine. "Yes, now we figure out the rest." Neither of them knew that the rest would involve revolution, would involve changing an empire, would involve proving that broken and different could become something better. But they would figure it out. Together. The Valoran High Council called an emergency session 5 days after the bonding. Kyle and Lyra were summoned to appear before them, not requested. Summoned, like criminals being called to trial. The council chamber was massive, circular, ancient stone carved with thousands of years of Valoran history. 13 seats arranged in a semicircle. 13 council members who governed the Valoran Empire, all of them looking down at Kyle and Lyra like they were insects under examination. Duke Varen sat in the 4th seat, Lyra's cousin. He was tall even for a Valoran. His silver skin was darker than Lyra's, more blue than silver. His eyes were cold, calculating. He had been 4th in line for the throne. Now, with Lyra's bonding, he saw opportunity. "This council has reviewed the bonding ceremony," Varen said. His voice was smooth, formal, but Kyle could hear the satisfaction underneath. "And we have determined that it is illegitimate." "Illegitimate?" Lyra's voice was sharp, angry. Kyle could feel her rage through the bond, hot and fierce. "On what grounds?" "You bonded with a primitive," Varen said. He gestured at Kyle like he was pointing at trash. "A human, a species with no noble lineage, no genetic purity, no standing in Valoran society. The bonding laws are clear. Only bonds between Valorans of appropriate status are recognized." "The bonding laws say nothing about species," Lyra countered. "They specify genetic compatibility and willing consent. Both requirements were met. Barely met." Counselor Thess spoke up. "She was ancient, probably older than Mara. The human nearly died. The bond is unstable, unprecedented. It violates the spirit of our traditions, even if it technically follows the letter." "The bond is stable," Kyle said. He was standing beside Lyra, could feel her hand in his, could feel her heartbeat. Their connection was solid, strong. "The medical scans prove it." "The scans prove nothing except that you have contaminated yourself with alien genetics," Varen said. His voice went hard. "Princess Lyra, you have violated every standard of noble purity, every tradition of our people. You are therefore unfit to hold any royal position, unfit to remain in the line of succession." "You're removing me from succession?" Lyra's voice shook, not with fear, with fury. "The council votes," Varen said, "all in favor of removing Princess Lyra from the line of succession due to illegitimate bonding." Hands raised. 1, 2, 5, 10, 12. 12 out of 13 voted yes. Only High Priestess Mara abstained. She sat silent, face carefully neutral. But Kyle thought he saw something in her eyes. Regret, maybe. Or anger she could not express. "The vote is decisive," Varen said. He smiled, actually smiled. "Princess Lyra, you are removed from succession. All royal privileges are revoked. You and your human are free to leave the Empire. We suggest you do so quickly." They left the chamber in silence, walked through corridors filled with Valoran nobles who stared, whispered. Some looked sympathetic. Most looked satisfied. The defective princess finally removed, the embarrassment eliminated. Kyle felt Lyra's emotions through the bond. Hurt, betrayal, rage, grief, all of it churning together like a storm. "I'm sorry," he said when they reached their quarters. "For what?" Lyra asked. Her voice was flat. "Empty. For making it worse. If I had not bonded with you, then at least you would still be a princess. Still in succession. Now you have nothing." Lyra turned to look at him. Her violet eyes were wet. "Nothing? I have my life. I have you. That's not nothing." Before Kyle could respond, the door exploded inward. Not literally, but close. Someone had overridden the lock. 3 figures rushed in, armed, masked, moving with professional precision. Assassins. Kyle moved on instinct, years of military training, before he became a medic. He grabbed Lyra, pulled her down, behind the couch. Energy bolts burned through the air where they had been standing. "Stay down," Kyle hissed. He did not have a weapon, did not need one. The lamp on the table became a club. The chair became a shield. Human improvisation against Valoran precision. The first assassin came around the couch. Kyle hit him with the lamp, hard, across the face. The Valoran went down. Stunned, the second one fired. Kyle threw the chair. It did not stop the bolt, but deflected it. Bought him time to close distance. Get inside the assassin's reach. Valoran combat training emphasized range and honor. Kyle fought dirty. Went for eyes, throat, knees. No honor, just survival. The assassin went down gasping. The third one grabbed Lyra, pulled her up, energy pistol to her head. Move, and she dies. Kyle froze. Could feel Lyra's terror through the bond. Could feel her trying to stay calm, trying to think. "Who sent you?" Kyle asked, buying time, looking for an opening. "Does it matter?" The assassin's voice was female. "Young, you embarrassed the Empire. Made us look weak. Now you pay." "Varen sent you," Lyra said. Not a question, a statement. "My cousin wants me dead, so there are no complications. No one to challenge his claim to the throne." The assassin did not deny it. Kyle could not reach her, could not fight without risking Lyra. So he did something else, something human. He talked. "You know she's already stabilized, right?" Kyle said. The genetic deterioration stopped, reversed. "She's healthier now than she's been in years. All because of our bond." "Irrelevant," the assassin said. "Is it? How many Valorans die from genetic deterioration? How many defectives are discarded every year because they cannot find bond mates?" The assassin's grip loosened. Slightly. "What's your point?" "My point is we proved it works. Human Valoran bonding. We proved it's possible. How many lives could that save? How many defectives could survive if they bonded with humans?" "That's blasphemy," the assassin said, but her voice was uncertain now. "That's survival," Kyle said, "and you know it. You're young. I'm guessing you've seen friends die from deterioration. Family, maybe. People who could have lived if they had this option." The energy pistol lowered. Just an inch. Just enough. Lyra moved. Fast. Sharp. The moves Kyle had been teaching her. No honor. No warning. Just brutal efficiency. She broke the assassin's grip. Spun. Struck. The assassin went down hard. Lyra stood over her, breathing hard. "You fight like a barbarian," she said to Kyle. "I fight to win," Kyle replied. "Teach me more." They trained after that. Every day, Kyle showed Lyra human combat tactics, improvisation, dirty tricks, everything the Valoran martial traditions called dishonorable. Lyra learned fast, adapted, combined Valoran grace with human unpredictability. The fourth assassination attempt came a week later. Lyra handled it herself. No ceremony, no honor code, just brutal practical violence. She stood over the unconscious attacker. "I was supposed to be a princess," she said. "Supposed to rule with grace and dignity. Represent the best of Valoran culture." "You still are a princess," Kyle said, "just with better survival skills now." But the attempts kept coming. Poison their food. Sabotage life support. Hired killers. Varen was determined, and the council supported him, or at least did not stop him. "We can't stay here," Kyle said after the sixth attempt. They'll eventually succeed, or we'll kill someone and give them an excuse to execute us. Where do we go? Lyra asked. I'm exiled. You're bonded to an exile. No Valoran world will take us. Then we go human, Kyle said. Frontier colonies, places where no one cares about Valoran politics, where we can disappear. They left the station that night. Stole a small ship. Nothing fancy, but fast enough. Varen's forces pursued, but Kyle flew like a human. Unpredictable. Reckless. Lost him in an asteroid field that no sane Valoran pilot would enter. The official story spread quickly. Princess Lyra and her human had fled in shame, abandoned the Empire, proven themselves unworthy. The truth was different. They were being hunted, forced out, eliminated. Where are we going? Lyra asked as the ship jumped to hyperspace. Frontier world called Hope's End, Kyle said. Mostly human colony. Some aliens. No one asks too many questions. We can hide there, figure out our next move. Lyra looked at the stars stretching past the viewport. I've lost everything. My title, my home, my people. You've lost a bunch of people who wanted you dead, Kyle corrected, and gained freedom. Sometimes that's a fair trade. She took his hand, felt the bond pulse between them. Sometimes it's the best trade. They flew into the darkness, into the unknown, into survival. Behind them, the Valoran Empire celebrated. The embarrassment removed, the problem solved. They had no idea what they had just created. No idea that the discarded princess and the human medic were about to become something the Empire could not ignore. Something that would change everything. Hope's End was not much to look at. The colony was small. Maybe 5,000 people scattered across a dozen settlements. The main spaceport was barely more than a landing pad with some prefab buildings clustered around it. Everything looked worn, used, held together with repairs and hope. Perfect for disappearing. Kyle and Lyra rented a small apartment on the edge of the main settlement. 2 rooms, basic furniture, a window that looked out over brown scrubland that stretched to the horizon. Not beautiful, not comfortable, but safe. Anonymous. No one here cared that Lyra was Valoran royalty. No one cared that Kyle had bonded with an alien. They were just another couple trying to survive on the frontier. Dr. Helen Morrison showed up 3 weeks later. Kyle heard the knock and opened the door to find his former boss, standing there with 2 bags and an annoyed expression. You disappeared, Helen said. No goodbye. No explanation. Just gone. I had to track you through 6 different information brokers to find this place. Helen, what are you doing here? Kyle asked. Someone has to keep you alive, Helen said. She pushed past him into the apartment. And I couldn't let my best medic vanish into the frontier without backup. Also, I quit. The station was boring without you. She set up a small clinic in the apartment's 2nd room. Nothing fancy. Just basic medical equipment. Enough to treat common injuries and illnesses. The locals appreciated it. Medical care was scarce on Hope's End. They came slowly at first, testing, then more regularly as word spread. It was during one of those regular checkups that they discovered something remarkable. Lyra had been helping in the clinic, learning. She had no medical training, but she was smart and quick. Helen was teaching her the basics. How to take vital signs. How to dress wounds. Simple stuff. Helen ran a routine scan on Lyra, just checking, making sure the bond was still stable, making sure the deterioration had not started again. The scanner beeped, displayed readings. Helen stared at them. Kyle, she said. Her voice was strange. Come look at this. Kyle came over, looked at the display, felt his breath catch. Her cellular structure, Helen said. She was scrolling through data. It's not just stable. It's evolving. The human genetic markers from your bond are rewriting her Valoran biology, making it more adaptable, more resilient. Is that dangerous? Lyra asked. Dangerous? No, it's incredible. Helen pulled up comparison scans from 3 months ago. Look, your cell regeneration rate has increased by 40%. Your immune response is faster, stronger. Your bone density has increased. You're not just surviving the bond. You're thriving because of it. The human adaptability, Kyle said, understanding. It's not just keeping the bond stable. It's improving her. Making me more human? Lyra asked. There was something complicated in her voice. Not quite fear. Not quite hope. Making you better, Helen corrected. You're getting the benefits of human genetics without losing your Valoran traits. You're becoming something new. Something stronger than either species alone. Word got out. It always did on small colonies. Gossip traveled faster than light. Within a week, every Valoran on Hope's End knew the defective princess was not just alive. She was healthy, thriving, all because of a human bond. The first one who came asking for help was named Nina. She was young, maybe 20 in human years. Her silver skin had the same dull quality Lyra's had when Kyle first found her. Genetic deterioration. Advanced stage. She knocked on their door late one night, stood in the hallway looking terrified and desperate. I'm dying, Nina said. No preamble. No introduction. Genetic deterioration. Same as you had Princess Lyra. I've been rejected by 8 potential bondmates. No one wants a bond with someone who might die anyway. Lyra pulled her inside, sat her down, held her hands. I understand. I know exactly what you're going through. Can you help me? Nina looked at Kyle. Can you bond with me too? Save me like you saved her. Kyle felt his heart sink. I can't bond with everyone. The bond is specific. One person to one person. It's not something I can replicate with others. Nina's face crumpled. Then I came here for nothing. I'm going to die. No, Helen said. She had been listening, thinking. We can't bond you with Kyle, but we can use what we learned from their bond. Human medical techniques combined with Valoran biology, genetic therapy, adaptability treatments. Will it work? Nina asked. I don't know, Helen said honestly, but it's better than waiting to die. They tried. Helen and Kyle worked together, using human medicine, human understanding of genetic adaptation. They could not create a bond, but they could stabilize, could slow the deterioration, give Nina's body time to heal itself. Some of it worked. Some did not. Nina survived. The deterioration slowed, stopped, started reversing. Not as dramatically as Lyra's, not as complete, but enough. Enough to give her years instead of weeks. Word spread faster after that. More Valorans appeared. The defectives, the ones with genetic deterioration, the ones their own people had given up on. They came to Hope's End looking for the human who saved the princess. Looking for hope. Kyle could not save them all. Some were too far gone. Some died despite everything Helen and Kyle tried. Those deaths hurt. Kyle felt each one like a personal failure, but others survived, stabilized, started healing. They set up a proper medical center. Nothing fancy, just a larger building with better equipment. Valoran doctors started arriving, curious, skeptical, but willing to learn. Kyle taught them human medicine, human genetic therapy, human adaptability techniques. It was not bonding, but it was close enough to save lives. Duke Varen heard about it. Of course he heard about it. His spies were everywhere. He sent hunters, professional killers, teams of them. But Kyle and Lyra were not alone anymore. They had allies, Valorans who had been left to die, who had been saved by human intervention, who were not interested in going back to a system that discarded them. The first hunter team never made it to the medical center. They were intercepted on the edge of the settlement, fought off by former defectives who had learned to fight dirty, human style. No honor codes, just survival. The second team made it further, got into the building, found themselves facing Lyra. She fought like something new, Valoran grace combined with human unpredictability. She moved through them like water, like violence. They were trained warriors. She was better. The hunters stopped coming after that. Kyle stood in the medical center, watching Valoran doctors work on patients, watching them save lives using techniques humans developed, watching an empire's outcasts become thrivers. You're building an army, Helen observed. She was standing beside him, watching the same scene. We're building a future, Lyra corrected. She had come up on Kyle's other side, took his hand. A future where defective doesn't mean disposable, where different means better. Varen won't let this stand, Helen said. The more successful you become, the more you threaten him. Threaten the whole system. Good, Lyra said. Her voice was hard. Certain. The system deserves to be threatened. It deserves to fall. Kyle looked at her. At this princess who had been rejected by her own people, who had been left to die, who had survived and was now thriving. You want to go back. Challenge him. I want justice, Lyra said, for everyone who was discarded, everyone who was told they were worthless. I want them to see that we're stronger than they ever were. That's going to mean war, Kyle said. Then we go to war, Lyra replied. But they were not ready yet. Needed time, needed resources, needed more allies. So they kept working, kept saving lives, kept building something the Empire could not ignore. And 3 months later, when a Valor News crew showed up asking for interviews, asking about the Miracle Medical Center on Hope's End, asking about the defective princess who was thriving, Lyra agreed to talk. The interview went out on every Valoran channel. Billions watching. Lyra stood in front of the medical center, healthy, strong, alive when she should have been dead. I was told I was worthless, she said to the camera, to the Empire, that without a proper Valoran bond one had no value, no purpose, no future. But a human showed me different. Kyle showed me that worth doesn't come from genetics or status. It comes from choice, from fighting to live, from refusing to accept that broken means disposable. She gestured to the medical center behind her. This is what happens when you combine human adaptability with Valoran strength, when you stop worrying about purity and start focusing on survival. We're not weaker for being different. We're stronger. The camera panned to show the other Valorans, the defectives, all healthy, all thriving, all alive because of human intervention. Duke Varen says we're contaminated. Lyra continued. Says we violated tradition. He's right. We have. We violated the tradition of letting people die when they can be saved. We violated the tradition of valuing genetics over life, and we'll keep violating it until the system changes. The interview ended. The Empire exploded. Protests started on Valoran worlds. Defectives demanding the same treatment, demanding access to human medical techniques, demanding the right to live. The council called emergency sessions. Varen demanded action, but public opinion was shifting. Hard to argue that dying was better than living. Hard to argue that purity mattered more than survival. And in a small medical center on Hope's End, Kyle and Lyra kept working, kept saving lives, kept building an army of the discarded. The war was coming, but they would be ready. The challenge came exactly 1 year after Lyra's exile. It arrived as an official transmission broadcast across every Valoran channel. Public, deliberate, impossible to ignore. Princess Lyra stood in the command center of the medical facility, surrounded by former defectives, by human doctors, by people who had been told they were worthless and proved everyone wrong. She played the message for everyone to hear. Duke Varen's face filled the screen. Composed, confident, he sat on a throne that should have belonged to Lyra's bloodline, wore a crown that he had no right to claim. Princess Lyra, Varen said. His voice was smooth, formal. You have spread lies across the Empire, contaminated our people with primitive medicine, violated every sacred tradition. It is time to settle this. He paused. Let the moment build. I challenge you for the throne. Trial by combat. Valoran tradition demands it. You claim you are stronger because of your human contamination. Prove it. Face me in the arena. Winner takes the crown. Loser is exiled forever. The transmission ended. Silence filled the command center. Everyone stared at Lyra, waiting for her response. He has to accept, Helen said. She had been studying Valoran law for months, preparing for this. Traditional challenge from a member of the royal family. You have to respond or forfeit all claims to succession. It's a trap, Nina said. She had become Lyra's closest ally among the former defectives. Varen is a trained warrior, combat specialist. He's been fighting his whole life. You've been sick most of yours. I've been training, Lyra said. She looked at Kyle. For a year, every day. Human tactics, human strategy, everything you taught me. He'll still have advantages, Kyle said. He's bigger, stronger, more experienced. And he'll fight with Valoran honor codes, predictable patterns, traditional moves. Then I fight without honor, Lyra said. I fight to win. She sent her response that same day, broadcast across the same channels. Public, deliberate, Duke Varen. Lyra said to the camera, I accept your challenge. Trial by combat. 3 weeks from today, I will prove that evolution is stronger than tradition, that adaptation is stronger than purity, that being different made me better than you ever were. The Empire erupted. This was history. This was scandal. A defective princess challenging for the throne, fighting her own cousin, using human tactics against Valoran tradition. Billions would watch. The arena was ancient, built 5,000 years ago when Valoran succession was still decided by blood and combat. It had not been used in centuries. Now it was reopened, cleaned, prepared. The stands filled with Valoran nobility, thousands of them, dressed in formal robes, wearing masks of neutrality, while placing bets on who would win. Kyle stood in the preparation chamber with Lyra. She wore simple combat armor, light, flexible, nothing like the heavy ceremonial armor Varen would wear. She looked small, fragile, the sick princess everyone remembered. But Kyle could feel her through the bond, feel her strength, her determination, her absolute certainty. You don't have to do this, Kyle said. Last chance, last opportunity to back out. We can disappear, build our life on the frontier, forget about the Empire, and leave everyone else to die? Lyra asked. Leave every defective to face rejection and deterioration? Leave every Valoran who could be saved to suffer, because tradition matters more than life? She took Kyle's face in her hands. I have to do this. Not for the crown. For them. For everyone who was told they were worthless. For everyone who needs to see that different can win. Then win, Kyle said. Fight dirty. Fight smart. Fight human. I will. The arena doors opened. Lyra walked out into blinding light, into sound, thousands of voices, some cheering, some booing, all watching. Varen was already there, standing in the center of the arena. He was massive, 7 feet tall, covered in traditional armor that gleamed silver. He carried a plasma blade, ancient weapon, ceremonial, deadly. He looked at Lyra and smiled. You should have stayed hidden, little cousin. Should have accepted your place. Now I'll put you there permanently. Talk less, Lyra said. Fight more. The fight began. Varen attacked with traditional Valoran form. High strikes. Sweeping attacks. Beautiful to watch. Predictable. Kyle had drilled Lyra on every traditional pattern, every honor code move. She knew them all. She avoided the first strike by dropping low. Human tactic. Valorans fought standing. Lyra went to ground, rolled, came up inside Varen's guard. She did not have a plasma blade, did not need one. She had human innovation, carried electrified gauntlets. Illegal by Valoran standards. Perfect for someone who did not care about standards. She hit Varen in the ribs. The charge went through his armor. Not enough to seriously hurt. Enough to stun, to disrupt his rhythm. He staggered, swung wild. Lyra was already gone, moving, circling, waiting for openings. Stand and fight. Varen shouted. Stop running like a coward. I'm not running, Lyra said. I'm winning. The crowd was going crazy. This was not how combat was supposed to look. This was wrong, dishonorable, chaotic. It was also working. Lyra fought for 20 minutes, never standing still, never meeting Varen's strength with strength. She used speed, angles, misdirection, everything Kyle taught her. She hit him a dozen times. Small hits, accumulated damage. Varen was slowing, frustrated, angry. He had trained for traditional combat, for honor duels. Not for this, not for an opponent who refused to follow the rules. He made a mistake. overextended on a strike. Left the side open. Lyra took it, hit him hard, right in the kidney. The electric charge went deep. Varen went down to one knee. Lyra could have finished it, could have struck him unconscious. One right there. Instead, she stepped back. "Yield," she said. "You've lost. Yield, and I'll let you live." Varen looked up at her, hate in his eyes. Never. He tried to strike. One last desperate attack. Lyra avoided it easily, countered, hit him across the face. Varen went down, did not get up. The crowd was silent, shocked. The defective princess had won. The contaminated exile had defeated a pure warrior. High Priestess Mara stood from her seat, walked to the arena floor. She looked at Varen, looked at Lyra. "Princess Lyra has won by combat," Mara announced. Her voice carried across the silent arena. "By ancient law and tradition, she claims a throne. All hail Empress Lyra." The crowd erupted, some cheering, some outraged, all witnessing history. Lyra stood in the center of the arena, breathing hard, covered in sweat. Victorious. She was crowned 1 week later, not in the traditional ceremony. She changed it, made it simpler, more inclusive, invited humans, invited former defectives, invited everyone who had been told they did not belong. Her first act as Empress was to reform the bonding laws, allow cross-species bonds, make it legal, encourage, remove the stigma. Second act, establish human medical centers across the empire, mandate training in human techniques for all Valoran doctors, make adaptability part of standard care. Third act, declare genetic deterioration a treatable condition, not a death sentence, not a mark of shame. The changes were not popular with everyone. Conservative Valorans protested, claimed she was destroying their culture, contaminating their purity. But the defectives supported her. The young supported her. Anyone who had watched someone die from deterioration supported her. Slowly, gradually, the empire transformed. 1 year after Lyra took the throne, she stood in the palace medical wing. Kyle beside her, Dr. Morrison checking readings on a scanner. "Healthy," Helen announced. "Both mother and child are perfectly healthy." Lyra touched her stomach. Still flat, but not for long. Their daughter was growing. Half human, half Valoran, the first of her kind. "She shouldn't exist," Lyra said quietly. "By every law of Valoran genetics, by every tradition, she's impossible." "She's proof," Kyle said. He put his hand over Lyra's, felt their daughter through the bond. Tiny, strong, alive. Proof that different can be better. That evolution happens when we take risks. That the future doesn't have to look like the past. "She's the future," Lyra agreed. Living proof that what they call contamination was actually salvation. Their daughter was born 3 months later. The birth was broadcast across the empire, billions watching, waiting to see if the impossible child would survive. She was perfect. 10 fingers, 10 toes, silver skin with human warmth underneath, violet eyes, hair that shifted colors like her mother's. But she had human adaptability in her genetics, human strength, human stubbornness. They named her Hope. Simple name. Human name. Perfect name. Hope became a symbol of change, of evolution, of the future. Other cross-species bonds formed. Other hybrid children were born. The empire that had rejected difference learned to embrace it. Kyle stood in the palace gardens 5 years later. Hope was running through the flowers, chasing butterflies, laughing. She was faster than Valoran children, more adaptable than human children, the best of both species. Lyra came up beside him, took his hand. "Do you regret it?" she asked. "Saying yes when everyone else said no? Bonding with a dying princess? Getting dragged into empire politics?" Kyle watched Hope, watched this impossible child who should not exist, thought about the thousands of Valorans who were alive because he had said yes, because he had tried when trying seemed impossible. "Not for a second," he said. "Good," Lyra said. "Neither do I." They stood together. The human who had been a nobody, the princess who had been dying, now the empress and her consort, building a future, proving that sometimes the best thing you can do is say yes when everyone else says no. Sometimes that changes everything.